Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss the third problem in the division 4 of Codechef contest starters 221. We'll go through the problem statement first. The question is named as odd string. Okay, so we are given a string S of length n consisting of only lowercase English letters. Okay, it is said that a string is called an odd string if and only if it follows the given condition, which is for any indice where I is less than j and the characters at both indices are same, then the distance between both the indices should be odd. In other words, we can say that the distance between any two equal characters of their indices should not be even. We are also allowed to rearrange the characters of the given string in any order. We have to just return whether it is possible to create such a string from the given characters or not. We'll go through some problems. We'll go through some sample test cases first. Here we can see that the first test case, which is A, B and A. Now, what are the equal characters which we can see in this is, one is this one, A, and this, and there is no other equal characters. B is directly considered as an odd string because it has no equal characters, and hence we'll just not bother about it. Only thing we need to bother is places where characters are equal. Now in this case, we see that there are two A's at indices 0 and 2. Can we say that the difference between 2 minus 0 is 2, which is even? But can we rearrange it in such a way that we can get it in odd length? Yes, we can do it. What if I just simply write it as A and B? You must have understood that now the indices become 0, 1 and 2, and right now the difference between these two characters becomes 1 minus 0, which is equals to 1. So we have satisfied all the conditions for this particular string, and we can simply say yes, it is possible. We'll move on to the next test case here. Here it is given that there are 4 letters, that is A, B, B, A, and there are two characters that are equal. That one is A, which is basically A and A at indices 0 and 3. Another one is B and B at indices 1 and 2. Let's see the difference between them first. The first one will give us, this one will give us 3, as 3 minus 0 gives us 3, and this one gives us 2 minus 1, which is equals to 1. The given string is already satisfying the condition, so we don't have to do anything else on that. So we can just skip this string. We'll go to the third one. Here we are given 5 characters in this given string. We'll go through them first. The characters that are equal in this string are A and B. Now what are the indices that the first pair of A hold? One is 1 minus 0, and the second one is 2 minus 1, and the third one is this one, 2 minus 0. These three values yield us what? 1, 1 and 2. We see that there is one character which is equal but are at an even distance. Okay, what about B? For B, we can say that 4 minus 3 is already 1. We don't have to focus on anything. We don't have to change anything for this part. But what about A? Can we rearrange it any manner such that the distance between any two given characters will be always odd? For this given string, what if we try to write it in a way that is something like A, and we include a B and then another A and then another B? In this case, what happens? The indices become 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So now the pairwise distance becomes, first for this two it becomes 1 minus 0, which is 1, correct? Now what about this A and this A? It becomes 3 minus 1, which is 2, which again becomes false. What about B? This B and this B, 4 minus 2, it again becomes false because the distance is even. Only the first pair is accepted in this case. Is there any way possible that we can rearrange and make this string such that the distance between equal characters remain odd? For this, just think about it in this way. When do we get an odd length between two characters? When at least one character is at an odd index and other character is at even index. Obviously, if you look at it, tell me what if both the characters are at even index 4 and 2, let's say. It will always give you an even number, and if both the numbers are at odd indexes, it will give you 3 minus 1, which is again 2. But if any one of them is at opposite, one is at odd and one is at even, so can we say that one is at odd 3 and another one is even number, that is 2? It will always give us 1. Now in this case we have 3 A's here, right? As you can see, there are 3 A's, 1, 2 and 3. Now tell me, for any pair, at least one of them should be at odd and one of them should be at even. In this pair we can see that one is odd, one is even and another one is odd. For another pair we can see that this is odd, right? This is odd, but this one is also odd, so this pair again gives you an even distance. For this pair and this one, it gives you an odd distance because 3 minus 0 is 0, but 3 minus 0 is 3 and 3 minus 1 is 2. In this case, can we say that it is never possible that if there are at least 2 indices, what I mean is, if there are more than 2 characters, it is not possible to satisfy all the conditions, because it is never possible to rearrange in such a way. Never possible to rearrange. Now let's go through one more example for better understanding. For this one, can we say that there are 6 characters in this string, okay, and again we are given 3 A character is repeated 3 times, B 2 times and C 1 time. By looking at it, we can simply ignore C at this point. We can also ignore B and B pair because their indices are already satisfying the conditions. 4 minus 3 is 1. But again, when we are getting another character which is repeated more than 2 times, we can simply say that we can never rearrange them, because no matter what you do, if you keep one A at an even index, another A at an odd index and another A at, let's say, another even index, this 2 will satisfy, but this 2 will never satisfy. If there are more than 2 characters, then definitely this will belong to one of those characters which is already at an even index or at an odd index, and that is why we can say that any character that is repeated or is present, or the frequency of it is, any character is repeated more than 2 times, the frequency, the answer will always be no. Only case when it can be yes is when all characters have frequency within, or we can say less than equals to 2. Only then we can say that this string can definitely be rearranged in such a manner that the distance will always be odd between any 2 characters that are equal. And hence this is how you solve this question, odd string. Thank you.